Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Hagbard Celine here on a beautiful Saturday. I do apologize for being late on this video. Just to make up for it, I'm going to do a twofer. I may have to link it to my alternate channel, and if that's the case, then so be it. I do hope everyone gets over to that one for my longer videos, and obviously the long Pacific sinking of the Pacific Ocean liners are going to have to be there. This is Brett Keane, though. Brett Keane is an ex-YouTube atheist turned God believer, and now I guess he's full-out Christian. It should be kind of entertaining, so here we go. He's going to refute atheism. Fun times. Oh god, I forgot about his overly dramatic intro. Let's fast forward right the fuck through this, shall we?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keane from God TV Radio. Make sure you check out my gaming channel, Games You Love.
If you actually love games, I definitely do not advise you go over there because he is as dull as dishwater and he plays some of the crappiest older games in the world.
And when you get an opportunity, check out Brett Keane Superstar as well as God TV Radio International. All links can be found in the description of every video that I have.
So you're just a complete attention whore then? You're just pretty much throwing it out there shotgun style to see what sticks, huh?
Also, make sure you check out our website, godtvradio.com, where you'll find exclusive content as well as live access to our shows.
That just sounds entirely too interesting, and I just can't wait.
Well, I have decided to create a series in which I answer your questions as a non-believer. A lot of people send me messages as well as through Skype, as well as call me on the phone. You are more than welcome to text me as well. I have the ability to see it. If the questions are serious, relevant, important, then I will try my best to answer.
What he really means there is that if you come at Brett Keane cap in hand and are willing to essentially negotiate reason for faith, then he will gladly have a quote-unquote discussion or debate with you. As it were, I refuse to have serious debates with anyone who decides that quoting scripture or your fifis are a way to defend your religious beliefs.
The first question I've got here is, how do you reconcile your Christianity and a belief in evolution? Well, I myself, Brett Keane, I don't believe that evolution is true.
Okay, well in that statement I suppose we can establish that you're an idiot and you ignore about a century and a half worth of scientific data and fossil evidence.
I believe that evolution is big business. I believe that a lot of scientists make a great deal of money off of many theories that have been debunked throughout history.
And with this statement, we can fairly well establish that you have no idea how academia works, and that the books that are published about evolution have a tendency to either be technical manuals for other evolutionary biologists or actually guides for people like you. People who could probably use it. You know, have you ever seen the book, How Dinosaurs Became Birds? It might interest you, Brett.
One of those is the primordial soup theory, an 80-year-old theory that has been debunked for 80 to 90 years now that atheists are still using in their videos when describing abiogenesis.
Well, I actually feel sorry for those YouTube atheists because the quote-unquote primordial goop theory is indeed been debunked, but we no longer even attempt to discuss abiogenesis. It's really not worth attempting to discover at this point. It's irrelevant. Your argument is that an 80-year-old theory is the only grounds we have to go on that evolution exists. Evolution doesn't explain the origins of life. It explains the speciation of our current existing life. Define your terms properly, Brett.
Evolution to me is ridiculous. If you would like more specific reasons why I don't believe in evolution, fine. So there is no reconciling evolution with Christianity. For those out there who believe that evolution is true, you are stating that the book of Genesis and the creation account is wrong.
Why, yes, Brett. Yes, we are stating that Genesis is wrong. I thought that would be easy to come to. I mean, the whole Adam and Eve story is kind of strange, don't you think? I mean, woman from rib, man from dust doesn't bother you?
You are stating that the explanation given in the book of Genesis for how God created man from the materials of the earth and already with a reproductive system and functioning sentience and awareness did not exist.
Well, of course we are, because your explanation doesn't make any goddamn sense, whereas science actually can be followed from A to B to C. You're just saying, I read a book once that said God made man from dust. I mean, that's your evidence, Brett.
You're stating that man came from chemicals and evolved and hopscotched through many different species out there, which is not what the story of Genesis states.
Does your story explain why the vast majority of people on the planet, including most East Asians, have Neanderthal blood? I mean, does that not hit your radar, Brett?
So you have to choose if you're going to accept a science that doesn't have any observable evidence to it, or any real facts, evidence, or transitional fossils to back it up.
Doesn't it? Then what exactly are we looking at as I speak here? You say there are no transitional fossils to be had. There are a lot of transitory fossils to be seen. The fact that you people insist that because I can't turn a goat into a fish in 3 generations means evolution is false as well. Deeply, deeply flawed understanding of evolution. You guys are backwards. You've always been backwards. It's just becoming more and more apparent as science advances further and further. Once upon a time, you were the bastions of learning. Once upon a time, monasteries actually had scholars. Now we have you.
Alright, the next question. How can an all-loving God allow for so much hatred and violence in the world? Let's pretend for a moment that we lived in a universe without God.
Yeah, let's just pretend that.
Would man be any different? Would there still be hatred, violence, and killing? Atheists would like to ask the question all the time, what would the universe be like without a God? Would it be any different? No, it would not.
Brett, you do see that's exactly our point, right? That there is no functioning or applicable God. There's no evidence for God. You do see that, right? And before you go there, no atheist believes in a godless utopia. There will always be shitty human beings.
The only difference is, which is a very powerful one, that if there is a God, there is justice in the end. There is an ultimate justice.
Well, at least you're willing to admit here that you just want there to be justice. You just want this to be the case. It doesn't necessarily need to be. It doesn't need to be implied on evidence. It's just you want there to be justice. I mean, it's an understandable feeling, but it's not true. It's unfortunate, but that's just not true.
In the atheist worldview, if a little girl were to get kidnapped, mutilated, raped, used like a toilet, in the atheist worldview, there will be no justice for her. If a person buried her off into a desert and the cops never find her, then nothing will ever be done about what has happened to her or millions of other people who have suffered.
First, what the fuck is going on in your brain, Brett, that's the kind of thing you think of on a fairly regular basis? That's the example you come up with? You come up with the most base and disturbed example humanly possible? And second, why would a good God let that happen in the first place? Brett, why would a good God let a young girl be kidnapped, mutilated, raped, used as a toilet, your words, killed and then dumped into the fucking desert? Why would a good God allow that, Brett?
If you were a victim of the Torquemada in the Inquisition, and you were tortured and you were murdered, Torquemada ended up living a wonderful, happy life all the way to his death.
Which he took as a sign that he was doing God's work, Brett. That man was doing the work of the God that you're currently arguing in favor for. Do you realize that, Brett?
Dying of old age. If you are one of those victims, then you will never find any justice for what had happened to you.
Brett, those victims didn't find justice and they were killed in the name of your God. You must know this. You guys did that.
In a universe with God, if you have been hurt, if you have suffered, if you've went through pain, then one day you will join your family and your loved ones in the end. But from the atheist worldview, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, you are absolutely nothing. You're just simply a moment, an experience, a chemical stimulated by your environment, determined by the outcome of the variables. And then you will die, you will become nothing, and everything that you hold sacred and care about will not exist with you as the universe grows cold and dies.
It is very refreshing to see a Christian willing to admit that the reason he is a Christian is because life is scary. Life is scary and random, and the variables are just terrifying. So instead, I'm just going to believe that all things will be right with the universe in the end. I will get to see my people again. I will be happy. There is a better world out there. You're just admitting that that's just what you have to believe. That's what this video appears to be, is you admitting that you simply cannot handle reality. You simply cannot handle that life is a beautiful, confusing thing, and that we'll never just know all the answers. I'm content to let the spiritual world sort itself out if it even exists. I'm just content living my life not thinking about torturing little girls or obsessing on the Inquisition, although that doesn't appear to be something you're real good at.
The next question. What would you tell someone who is trying to figure out their beliefs? Continue to seek truth, and you'll find it.
And then you won't be a religious person anymore.
If you seek evil, you'll find it as well. Next question.
Well, that was a wannabe sage-like non-answer, Brett. That didn't offer any advice whatsoever. That was just you randomly moralizing.
The person says they do not believe in God.
No, Brett, that's a simple typo. She meant if one does not believe in God. You see.
Or gods, how can they be angry with him or her? Not saying atheists are mad at God, but some people, for various reasons. What would you say to them through that? Well, there are a lot of people out there, anti-theists, make it clear that they believe in a God. They're just pissed off at him. They're angry because they don't feel like life went the way they expected it to.
Again, your strawmans are cute, but they're poorly assembled. Most anti-theists aren't anti-God, they're anti-religion. They know there is no God. They've already come to that. That's the step beyond atheism, which is, okay, there's no God. The next step is, hey, stop bothering me about your stupid God. That's the next step of an atheist, and that's when he becomes an anti-theist. Stop bothering me with your shitty, stupid God.
There is nowhere in the Bible where it says that God is going to make things fair or wonderful for you. It says in the Bible very clear that it rains on the just as well as the unjust. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. The reason why there's so much pain and suffering and hatred in this world is because men choose to do so. There's not very many peacekeepers in this world. There's a lot of capitalists, a lot of people out there who have this idea that they are going to take what they want and they don't care who they step on in order to get up the ladder. There are politicians who will lie to our face in order to get high authoritative positions.
And yet, for some reason, the Christian bloc still votes like a motherfucker. For some reason, the Christian bloc still makes the president stand up and say that they believe in God before they can become a president. And you see nothing wrong with that, Brett? And you seem to have gone off on a bit of a tangent here. This isn't really related to spirituality or God. You've kind of just gone into explaining that anything bad that happens is people's fault and anything good that happens is potentially God's fault. Otherwise, we've slipped into the realm of either a spiritual being that wants to help but can't, or a spiritual being that can help but chooses to let us suffer. Either way, I'm not worshiping that sack of shit. And we'll just see if he gets back on track in part 2.